20 years ago, I decided to try writing music. I loved how rappers like Mike Shinoda and people like that with Linkin Park and what have you took not only the heavy genre of music that I never really tasted up to that point to set a stage for a little bit of an internal struggle, and instead of just sharing exactly what you see, talk about what you feel. But not just saying, I feel this way. Let's give some depth to it. I feel like I'm suspended over a bridge that's burning and people on either side are yelling and cursing. I don't know, I just came up with that right now. The depth in which certain genres could really convey things, the way that lyrics can really speak in a variety of ways in certain capacities, was fascinating to me. So I started writing music when I was 14. I've talked about this a little bit. When the only examples you have around you are rock bands, where you have to have at least 3 to 4 dedicated friends with instruments, with interest in making music with you, it's a lot of work. And I was late in understanding, hey, you can just go on the internet and pay someone to make an instrumental for you, and then you rap over it, and you record yourself, and then there's a song. Didn't do that until I was 28. There's still the very first piece of music that I ever made out there on Bandcamp called 14 EP under my old moniker, Roar the Rapper. It's still out there because I think, at least to some capacity, history should be remembered. But on the flip side, at the time I was 28, and I tried a bunch of different things on my first channel. And that was after being a dancer for a few years previously, until I realized I didn't want to just dance to someone else's song. I wanted to make my own songs. I'd had that passion for years. I just didn't know what to do. So I'd started making music. Really took inspiration from the nerdcore community. None Like Joshua rapping about Naruto over dubstep, I think, was the very first nerdcore song I ever heard. And I loved how you could convey so much about a character in a song many, many times. There's main, the series that everyone writes songs about. Naruto, Dragon Ball Z, Bleach, One Piece. Everyone writes songs on those. Now, some people would think, hey, there's plenty of anime out there. Write about something else. True. And that's part of what inspired me to make the nerdcore music that I did, because there were so many great shows that were coming out. I want to write about that. I want to talk about that. I want to take a story and put my own spin on it about that show. But at the same time, it says a lot about a series. If you can get 12 different people writing a song about the same character, and they're very different. Now, unfortunately, I had to realize, after getting into that a little bit more, that, the nerdcore community, just like the rap community, is extremely narcissistic. Everyone thinks they're the best. No one is willing to really listen to anybody else on stuff. There's so much ridicule back and forth. And the fans, of course, if you have an artist that you like, well, they can do no wrong. And I didn't want to be a part of that. And that's half the reason why I left rap to begin with. There's also this whole controversy of, well, it's a young man's game, and if you don't make it by the time you're 30, well, then it's just not meant for you. Well, what if you don't start until you're 28? Which was the case for me. Well, that's why I decided maybe I'll just write my own stories. I will conceptualize concepts that could be, I will conceptualize concepts, perfect. I will conceptualize characters and the worlds that they're in, like I'm making an anime, but then I'm writing their story in a summative way over rap music. Cool. I did that. I had a few characters and continued doing what I'm doing with the YouTube channel, taking inspiration from guys like Crypt, Knox Hill, Rapper Reacts to Blank. Okay, well now, instead of just being a rando talking about something, you find your niche, you find songs that you want to talk about, but then you also bring some experience to the table. I'm not just some dude. I am someone who has made music before, who knows how to write lyrics, who knows what to look for, who knows how to gently critique things. Because that's another thing. When I first started music, I got no favors from anybody. I was ridiculed by some people years and years back. And that's half the reason why when I started doing reaction videos, or, when I found an original artist and I wanted to look at their original music, I wanted to give them encouragement. Hey, you're really good at this. Keep working on this thing. Hey, you tried this and this was a pretty good try. How about trying this, a little bit differently? Right? So then I, was doing my own characters and stuff. And, it just like when you've been doing something for a while and you feel like there's maybe not as much as you can say as you thought you could, or you realize you're burnt out. That's something I experienced in my real life. For almost a decade, I worked in preventative measures with autistic children. I was a registered behavior technician. We would take on a kiddo. We had a team and would assess. I wasn't a part of the assessments because I don't have the education for that. But then we would figure out different programs to build their cognition, build fine motor skills, build speech, build socialization, build all these different things. And then I would go to their house and I would run those programs, or to their school, or especially after the vid, we had centers that the families could come to. So then we had this one-on-one, very, confined space, or not confined space, but like a controlled space. We could control what toys were available, how much, access they had to different things. If someone had issues with running or things like that, we had a space for that. Well, and I did that for a while after I moved out of California, until I realized I was so burnt out it affected my work and I was dismissed. So then I turned to a totally different field that I had never worked in before, and every single day is interesting and unique and challenging in its own fashion. Well, I'll just be honest. At this point, I'm 30-something years old. I don't want to I want to have some assurances here. Or not assurances, but some stability. I don't want to feel like I'm starting all over again. Because that sucks, regardless of what age you are. But especially when you're older. Because, like rap, it's a young man's game. People will always argue, well, if you didn't make it by a certain time in your life, well, then it wasn't meant for you. I mean, it's BS, first of all. It's a very unrealistic cultural mindset that you have to accomplish certain things by a certain time. But that is how it works. And it still did affect me and stressed me out. Case in point, I had just finished a full-length boom bap rap album about a character called Kyojin, who is a big mountainous woman of a character who works as a maid for a bunch of rich families. Very capable of handling herself and knowing how to do manual labor. But then there's struggles that she has, which was part of the reason why she got into that particular easy-to-do field, in order to, not have too many issues with the struggles that she has, which the album talks about. I generated some artwork, turned out really great, was planning on getting that artwork professionally done by someone, and then getting all the songs mixed. As soon as I finished that last track, I sat back and said, I'm never doing this again. Okay, so what are we going to do? It's still sitting there. It's all there. It's compiled. I just decided, I don't know if I'm ever going to put it out. I'm just, In the same vein, okay, I talked about VTubers for a while. I got a model. You guys have seen the model. You've seen me stream before. A few people voiced their concerns with, hey, we kind of like your face. If you're crying, we want to see those tears. That's something that we've seen as synonymous with your reaction videos. We don't feel like the model really captures that, which is true. So I thought, okay, I'll take that into consideration. We're looking at that. Well, and so now, after feeling like I'm kind of just burnt out on rap, that's when another passion from a long time ago kind of resurfaced. I mean, it had always been there, always bubbling, right below the surface. Metal music. I mean, I've talked about it before, but so much of my early music experience was about heavier music and all the variety of ways that people can describe things lyrically, paint pictures about different things, various genres of metal. So I made a black metal song where I'm just singing. And, because it's black metal, you don't have to have the most tightened mixing. Doesn't have to sound perfect. That's actually half the point. And that's going to be dropping on Friday. And I hope you guys enjoy it. And I know, if I'm occasionally getting frustrated at feeling like my interest rises and falls for things, I'm excited about one thing and then I drop out another. It at least, while I'm trying to give myself a break and go, you're trying things, you're figuring out what you like to do. I would hope that isn't going to be too discouraging for you guys. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to be seeing myself next. I'm still going to do reaction videos. I'm still going to be talking about music on this channel. I'm still going to be making music. That's what I like to do. I've at least figured that out. But it's in this time of self-discovery, as much as I feel like it's just been going on for too long and I wish I knew more solidly what I wanted to do. The point being is, though, I want to be honest with you. That's really what this is about. I know where my passions are. I know where my gifts are. And that has helped me kind of figure out, hey, this is going to be the staple of your YouTube channel, or this is going to be the main thing that you do. But all this other stuff, as I work a totally different job, this isn't my main job. That would kind of make me have to figure out my avenue of creativity a lot faster, if that were the case. But as I'm figuring this out, I would hope that you guys would be patient with me, because this is something that I care about. But even as my brother pointed out jokingly the other day, but I think he also was curious about where maybe my mindset was on things. He said, so you deleted this other channel when you're almost at 27,000 subscribers. Why do you do that? Do you just not want to be famous? Do you feel like that was too much to handle? Do you just want to stay out of the public eye to the point where once you get a certain level of success, you get nervous? And I'd never thought of it like that. So I actually had to think about it and go, huh. But then, of course, he jokingly asked, like, okay, well, how many subscribers do you have now? And I said, well, over 6,000. He goes, uh-oh. You can only get around 20,000 more. And then you're going to have to quit that and start something else. And I thought, I don't know why this almost sounds like something I would do. But as I'm trying to figure that out, I'd hope you would be patient with me, because I care about my audience. I also care about giving other artists hope and compassion and encouragement as I'm trying to figure out my own thing. So as much as it's disappointing to me that I felt like, over these last few months, this last year, I've done so much changing with my channel. I'm appreciative for those of you that have stuck with me. I hope to have something figured out with time. And that's kind of what the whole of this is about. So anyway, if you got to the end of this, write OWL in the comments so I know that you reached the end of this. And that's all I got to say about that. So see you guys in the next one.